Welcome to the Friday. Can you hear me now? I rebooted my computer. I'm hoping that will fix. Can you hear me? Thank you. I guess I just needed to reboot my computer. Not sure we have audio. All right, guys. Well, I'm Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent, voiceover coach, coming to you from deep in the woods of southeastern Ohio in a rental cabin. I'm spending a few days chilling. There's a couple things I want to work on and get done. Also, I'm here to visit with my mother and my sister who live just down the road. So, and I'm working while I'm here. I showed this earlier, so I won't give you the big tour of that again because I showed it earlier for those of you guys who were here. But basically, it's the same equipment from my studio. Equipment's the same. It's a different environment, so it sounds not exactly the same, but with a little using the Clarity VXD reverb plugin from waves.com and a little EQ tweaking, and not bad. Not bad at all. I did about 4 projects last night before I went to bed, and then I've got quite a few lined up for this morning as well. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope it's been a good week. We've got a big thing coming up, and I want to just talk about it up front, and then we'll move into your questions because this is a Q&A. Every Friday, it's Q&A. So if you have a voiceover question, throw it up in the stream. I'll get to a few of those here momentarily. But when it comes to growing your voiceover business, you've heard me say it before, and I'll continue to say it. You need multiple marketing channels, or the analogy, the metaphor I like to use is a wheel with spokes in the wheel. So the more spokes you have in your wheel, the smoother, the more stable, and the more predictable your ride becomes. That's what we want to do. And so this Tuesday night, join us for a live training event on how to create a pipeline of new customers using social media. Now, the first thing most people, whenever I talk to somebody who's newer to voiceover talent, the first thing they'll talk about is, yeah, I'm set up on social media, to get jobs. I rarely ever actually hear from anybody that gets jobs using social media. And it would be easy to jump to the conclusion, well, that it's just not a good way to get work. That's not the case. It's like yesterday when I talked about it's knowing the channel, but it's also knowing or having the right tools and the right strategies. It would be like going fishing. If you didn't know how to fish and you just waded out into a lake up to your knees and then tried to catch fish with your hands, that's a really bad, inefficient way to fish. And that's what most of you guys who are doing social media, that's how you're marketing on social media. So once you have the tools and the strategies, then you'll be like Mike Hathco, who will be our instructor on Tuesday night, who has built a 6-figure voiceover business using, in large part, social media marketing. So this is a masterclass in social media marketing. So if you're not signed up yet, remember we limit our number of students to 150 because during our live events, there's a lot of interaction, Q&A. So we want to make sure that everybody who's there gets a chance to interact and ask questions and all that kind of fun stuff. But you got to be there for that to happen. And that's why we have a link in the description below so you can get all the information and then make an informed decision. Well, if you haven't yet, make sure you check in on the live stream. Let me know where you're watching or listening from. And if you have a question, throw it out to me. I'll try to get to a handful of these here. Let's see. Bob is first in this morning, Reidsville, North Carolina. Good morning, Bob. Hey, Chris. Thanks for letting me know about the audio. I hate it when that happens. My biggest concern was I've got terrible internet here. It's slow. My biggest concern was that you wouldn't be able to hear or see me because of the internet, but it ended up being technical issues here. So let's see. Scotty in Brookings. Phil in Tokyo, Aaron, hello, Rusty in Michigan, Tina, how are you doing in Sweden? Sirius in Charlotte, Melissa in San Diego, John in New York, Joy, good morning to you in Michigan. James, how's it going? GS, happy Friday. Dale says good morning from Atlanta. What suggestions can you provide for improving pacing? Well, what I find when it comes to pacing, most people's issue is they read too fast. Now, that's not always the issue. You've got to It's always about context. You have to understand the script, what's going on, who is it that's listening to this? What is it trying to do? It might be appropriate to have a slower pace. Maybe it's instructional and it's highly technical, and they need to be able to absorb the material. You don't want to speed read that. Or it might be a very wordy 15 or 30-second commercial that requires you to essentially speed read. But the big trick that I use to help me keep a good pace is by using my hand as a metronome. Because I find that if my hand moves, if my body's moving here, my voice will follow. So if I'm reading, like, for instance, to keep me from going too fast, like in a narration, what I'll do, if I feel like I'm kind of revved up and let's say I do a take and I listen, it's like, wow, that's just way too fast. I'll just move my hand up and down slowly to get a rhythm going, a nice slow rhythm. And then I start reading, because if my hand is going slow, it becomes really hard for me to talk fast. The slower my hand moves up and down, I mean, I'm not conducting a symphony or anything. I mean, it's just a simple hand movement. The slower the metronome, it slows my body, it slows my voice down. And the inverse of that would be true if you wanted to go faster. So that's my trick for that, which helps me tremendously. Robert says, hello from Atlanta. Oh, 2 Atlantaites in a row. Took a new job yesterday that will allow me more time and resources for voiceover. I also will get to voice some training videos. Fantastic, Robert. Congrats. Hey, Jolie. She says, I was worried for a moment. If we belong to the blueprint, do you still recommend taking the marketing class on Tuesday? Jolie, if you feel that you have not mastered social media marketing, might be a good idea. Now, Mike does have one of his previous training programs in the blueprint. He did it a couple years ago. So this would be an updated version of that, but you could certainly, go back and check that out as well. Dory, hello to you in Maryland. Hey, Aaron, you tell us to tap into an emotion when doing our VO reads. I'm curious, do you still use this method for your performance, or have you been doing this so long you just step into it easily? I have to be honest. Sometimes I don't take the time. Sometimes I step into old bad habits, and especially when I'm really busy. And let's say I've got, 5, 6 jobs lined up, which, by the way, this week it's been like that. It's just like I was pretty tense just driving down here, because I knew if I didn't work for like 3 hours last night, I didn't know if I could get through all the work that I've got lined up for today. When I'm like that, I don't take a lot of time to think. I mean, I can kind of go through the process quickly because I've done it so many times. But yeah, I still do that. I think context, big picture. What's the story? Where's it taking place? Who am I communicating with? What's my role? What do I feel in that? Because emotion, more than anything else, is what connects with other people. So it's a good question. So emotion, yeah, it's still a thing for me. Joy is in sunny Southfield, Michigan. Bill in Boise, Idaho. Emma in Huntington Beach says, thanks for the waves info the other day. And what Emma's referring to is a plugin I was talking about called Xcrackle, that puts that finishing smooth finish on audio. That's not what it was designed actually to take the snap, crackle, and pop out of vinyl records. People who wanted to take vinyl records and make them digital, you can use that plugin to take out a lot of the scratchiness of it. But it does an amazing job taking harshness out of voiceovers. I just found that out through experimentation. Sandra in Dallas, Fort Worth. JR in sunny Austin, Texas. Alex in Utah. Speaking of sunny, man, on my drive here yesterday, it's about a 6.5 hour drive. It was raining pretty hard the entire way. Sometimes I would catch myself and just realize my jaw was clenched because it was so tense, because the visibility was so bad. Traffic was heavy, visibility was bad, and for hours and hours just driving through this heavy rain. I welcome some sunshine. Jess in Austin. Happy Friday from downtown Chicago. Amisha in South Carolina. We got Dave in New York City. What's up, Dave? Mikhail in Maine. Mike in Matawan, New Jersey. Alex says mouth noise. I saw some advice saying to project voice and change gain recording to drop softer sounds like mouth and room noise. Your thought? I'm not sure I follow this. Project voice and change gain. Okay, let me just say this. I never try to influence the quality of my audio by changing my performance. So, because the performance that's the product. Well, I mean, it's the audio quality, but what they're hiring us for is the recording, I mean, our voice. And so I'm not going to manipulate the way I read it to make it sound differently to fix another problem. That's creating another problem to fix another problem. Mouth noise, I chew gum. That really helps me out a lot. And then, there's software that can help with that, like D-Click, Isotope, X-Click from Waves, X-Crackle helps with all that as well. Ethan in Toronto, Wally, I thought you were miming voiceover earlier, teaching us to articulate our words. No, no, sir. Jason, it's great to hear your voice. I want to say thank you. The blueprint continues to push me outside of my comfort zone, and that's a good thing. Jason, it is a good thing. And thanks for saying that. Yeah. Not long ago, I did a video entitled Comfort Kills. And it does that. We atrophy when we're comfortable. That's one of the big challenges we have, people living in this time and place, is that we don't have to deal with the stuff our ancestors did. We live comfortably. We're almost always at the perfect temperature. We don't get too cold for too long. We don't get too hot for too long. We never allow ourselves to get hungry. So when that happens, that works against us. I'm not saying we want to starve ourselves to death or freeze ourselves to death, but being hungry sometimes is not a bad thing. Being a little cold for a while can actually do some good things in your body. We don't comfort atrophies when we don't go out and we don't work physically, we don't walk, we don't run, we don't chop firewood, things atrophy. Same thing in your voiceover business. If you don't push outside your comfort zone and build some new muscle, you just don't make progress. So Jason, thanks for saying that. Christopher, good morning to you in Jacksonville, Florida. We've got Gene in Dallas, Fort Worth. Will says, sup, Bill from Beltsville, Maryland. Would it be wise to do a Spanglish demo or separate them, English and Spanish? Yeah, I would do them separately. However, it might not be a bad idea. As a matter of fact, I produced a demo for a client once who was fluent in English and Spanish. I wanted to work both markets, which is smart. And so, like in his English speaking demo, what we did was we included a line or two that required some Spanish. So it was an English demo, but it showed his ability. So we did it without making it an overtly. I mean, you don't want to make it. You don't want a demo to be giving you 3, 4, 5 different things in terms of what its purpose is. So every marketing tool has one purpose, one audience. And so that's why you should separate those. Moises says, have you ever had to do a live directed session while on a trip away from home studio? Oh, yeah. A number of times. Yep, sure have. Source Connect. Yep, never had an issue with that. Source Connect. I did a session on Source Connect, and I know I've mentioned this before, but some of you may not have heard that, where I used my my iPhone as the Wi-Fi because I didn't have access to anything else, and it worked. My client didn't know the difference. I'm not recommending you do it. I was lucky; I had a strong signal, but it doesn't take a whole lot of bandwidth to do live sessions. And I mean, like, look what we're doing. You could use Zoom and Skype, and you can do it with relatively slow internet. Good morning to you, Doug, in Greensboro, North Carolina. All right, so don't forget Tuesday night. Time's a wasting if you haven't signed up for that yet, for the live trading event. How to fill your marketing pipeline with social media contacts the right way, so you actually get clients. It's not an exercise in futility. It's productive. And Mike Cathcote, the guy who's built a 6-figure voiceover business doing just that. It's going to teach you exactly how to do it. Don't miss it this Tuesday. The link is below in the description. Have a wonderful weekend. I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday.